Hello, I'm Kimberlie Acosta. Welcome to the Native News Update. It's Friday, March 25th. Many of the stories you hear here can be found at our website, IndianCountryNews.com. And here's the news for the day from the Associated Press and other Native news sources. In one of the largest monetary payouts nationwide in the Roman Catholic Church's sexual abuse crisis, the largest one by a religious order, the Jesuits order in the Northwest has agreed to pay $166.1 million to about 500 abuse victims as part of its bankruptcy settlement. The settlement between the victims and the order's Oregon province, the Northwest chapter of the Jesuits, also asked the order to provide a written apology to the victims and to share documents with them such as their personal medical records. Many of the abuses happened to Native American or Alaska Native children. Some were living in remote Alaska villages when they were abused, others on reservations or in Christian boarding schools into which the federal government had forcibly placed them in an attempt to assimilate them into the dominant culture. The order was accused of regarding the villages and reservations as dumping grounds for problem priests, a characterization the province's leaders have repeatedly rejected. School officials came across a box of unidentified Native American bones at San Francisco State University, a discovery that has triggered a federal law that says human remains must be returned to their Indian tribe. San Francisco state officials recently conducted a human remains survey of the school's scientific archives and discovered a box labeled "No Site Number Bones, Lake Isabella, Box 1 of 1. The remains were removed from the area around Lake Isabella in Kern County, according to an announcement by the National Park Service's Native American Graves Protection Repatriation Act program. The tribe that used to live in the area is related to the Santa Rosa Indian community of the Santa Rosa Rancheria, and the remains will be returned to that tribe unless another group comes forward demonstrating a closer connection to the Kern County tribe. Days after receiving $500,000 in federal grant money, the Coeur d'Alene tribe already has plans to put the money to work. The funds will be used by the Coeur d'Alene Tribal Housing Authority to renovate and install energy-saving upgrades and rehabilitate 35 of its rental homes. The $500,000 Indian Community Block Grant was one of 50 competitive grants given to tribes and Alaska Native villages by HUD, totaling $33.6 million. Rosanna Allen, the tribe's Housing Authority Executive Director, said the upgrades are part of a larger effort to improve housing for tribal members living on the reservation. The tribe will unveil a new family housing development called the Gathering Place later this spring. The 20-unit subdivision, which is located off Agency Road near the old tribal headquarters, uses straw bale construction techniques. Barbara Munson, a member of the Oneida Nation, began her quest to rid schools of race-based mascots nearly 20 years ago. It was 1991, and Carol Hand, an American Indian educator, filed a complaint against the Milton School District to get the district to change its nickname from the Redmen, along with their logo, a warrior in a headdress. That really got my attention and got me going on the issue, said Munson. At that time, the case didn't go the way Hand and Munson had hoped. But in 1999, after almost a decade of community struggle, the Milton School Board ended the use of the Redmen name. On March 19th, Munson was honored in Milwaukee by the American Civil Liberties Union of Wisconsin. She was bestowed the Eunice Z. Edgar Lifetime Achievement Award. Munson has been the chairwoman of the Indian Mascot and Logo Task Force of the Wisconsin Indian Education Association since 1997, when the task force was formed. Since it began, 31 Wisconsin school districts have retired race-based mascots. The task force also worked hard for the passage of a state law, Act 250, that requires school districts with race-based mascots to prove they don't promote harassment, stereotyping, or discrimination if a complaint is filed by a district resident. The international technology leader, Google, has added the Cherokee written language called Cherokee syllabary to its repertoire of searchable languages. Just like the many other languages Google supports, now anyone who can read and write Cherokee can look up virtually anything on the web. Cherokee Nation translators worked side by side with Google employees to work through all the challenges of adding a new and very different language to their services. The syllabary created by Sequoia in the early 1800s has characters, some of which resemble Latin and Greek letters. The 85-character syllabary quickly made the majority of Cherokees literate and was adapted in the first Native American newspaper, the Cherokee Phoenix, which was written in Cherokee and English. Over the past decade, Cherokee Nation has been dedicated to keeping its language vital. It started free language classes, a youth choir that sings in Cherokee, student language bowl competitions, a Cherokee degree program at Northeastern State University, and a language immersion school that has grown every year, which is now up to the 5th grade. And that's the latest roundup of news from Indian Country on this edition of the Native News Update. I'd like to thank you for joining me, and have a grand day.